This is why going slower makes you faster, especially after 50. Are you struggling to keep up with those exhausting high-intensity workouts? What I'm about to share will completely change your approach to fitness. While everyone was obsessing over high-intensity workouts, a running book from 2014 proved they're completely wrong. Matt Fitzgerald found something fascinating. Elite athletes do 80% of their training at a surprisingly easy intensity. 10 years later, influencers and longevity experts like Peter Attia and Andrew Huberman have made Zone 2 training the hottest topic in fitness. Look, I get it. You've tried the high-intensity stuff, maybe got injured, or just couldn't sustain it long-term. That's because most fitness advice ignores how your body actually works after 50. Today, we're breaking down the 80-20 training method that Tour de France winners use, why going slower actually makes you faster and stronger, and how to build sustainable fitness that works with your body, not against it. This isn't about becoming an elite athlete. It's about having energy for the things that matter to you. Here's what Matt discovered that everyone missed. Elite endurance athletes spend 80% of their training time going so easy, it feels like they're barely working out, and only 20% going hard. Think about that for a moment. The fastest humans on the planet, Tour de France winners, Olympic marathoners, world record holders, they're not grinding through brutal workouts every day. They're doing something that feels almost too easy 4 days out of every 5. Eliud Kipchoge, who ran 4 of the 10 fastest marathons in history, does 10 out of his 13 weekly training sessions at a leisurely pace. Today, Pogačar, the Tour de France winner, spends 80% of his training time in what's called Zone 2. This intensity is so gentle you can hold a conversation the entire time. Can you see why this builds a foundation instead of tearing you down? While everyone else is burning out with no pain, no gain, elite athletes are building an aerobic base that lets them perform at levels that seem superhuman. But to understand why this works, you need to know about all 5 heart rate zones and what your body is actually doing in each one. Exercise scientists have divided all physical activity into 5 heart rate zones, each one triggering different responses in your body. Let me break this down so you understand exactly what's happening. To calculate your zones, start with your maximum heart rate, 220 minus your age. So if you're 55, that's 165 beats per minute max. Zone 1 is 50 to 60% of your max heart rate. This is gentle walking, stretching, or recovery activities. Your body easily burns fat here, but there's not enough stimulus to create significant fitness improvements. Zone 2 is 60 to 70% of your max. This is where the magic happens for people over 50. You're primarily burning fat for fuel, but there's enough stimulus to dramatically improve your mitochondria and cardiovascular system. You can hold a conversation but can't sing a song. Zone 3 is 70 to 80% of your max. This is moderate intensity where you start shifting toward more carbohydrate burning. You can speak in short phrases, but conversation becomes difficult. Many people accidentally spend too much time here. Zone 4 is 80 to 90% of your max. This is hard tempo work where you're burning mostly carbohydrates and starting to accumulate lactate. You can barely speak and it's quite uncomfortable. Zone 5 is 90 to 100% of your max. This is all-out effort, burning almost pure carbohydrates, and you can only sustain it for short periods. No talking possible. Now here's the crucial part that most people miss. Your body burns completely different fuel sources in different zones, and this changes everything about how you should train after 50. Understanding what fuel your body burns in each zone is the key to unlocking sustainable fitness after 50. In Zone 2, you're burning approximately 85% fat and 15% carbohydrates. Here's why this matters. Your body stores about 1,600 to 2,000 calories worth of carbohydrates, but it stores 50,000 to 100,000 plus calories worth of fat. When you train in Zone 2, you're teaching your body to access that massive fuel tank. In Zone 5, this flips completely. You're burning about 85% carbohydrates and only 15% fat. This is like running your car on premium fuel that you have very little of. You can go fast, but not for long, and you'll need significant recovery time to refill the tank. This is why Zone 2 is perfect for people over 50. As we age, our ability to recover from high-intensity exercise decreases, but our need for sustainable energy throughout the day increases. Zone 2 training teaches your body to be metabolically flexible, to efficiently use fat for fuel during daily activities. A 29-year-old who tracked his Zone 2 training saw his VO2 max improve from 53 to 66 in just 3 months. But more importantly, he reported feeling more energetic throughout the day because his body became efficient at burning fat for sustained energy. Try this right now. During your next walk, see if you can hold a conversation without getting winded. If you can talk comfortably but couldn't sing a song, you're probably in Zone 2 and burning fat efficiently. Now, before you think Zone 2 is all you need, let me explain why those other zones still matter. The 80-20 rule isn't 100-0. That 20% in zones 3 to 5 serves important purposes. Zone 3 helps bridge the gap between your aerobic base and higher intensities. It improves your body's ability to clear lactate and maintain moderate efforts. Zone 4 builds your lactate threshold, the point where you can sustain harder efforts. This translates to being able to climb longer hills or keep up with younger family members during activities. Zone 5 maintains your top-end power and speed. Even if you're not racing, having this gear available makes everything else feel easier. Here's a critical point that many Zone 2 enthusiasts miss, and it's a real downside if you ignore it. Zone 2 alone can lull you into a false sense of security. While it broadens your fitness base, your peak performance doesn't increase without some higher intensity work. You need stress to stimulate adaptation and growth. Shane Farmer from Dark Horse Rowing focused heavily on Zone 2 training.
When I was ascending, I felt amazing. I didn't have to stop and walk. The rest of the time, my legs were able to keep churning. I never felt like my heart rate got out of control. I felt very much within control. And what I didn't have, however, was a feeling of intensity.
This illustrates another downside of Zone 2 only training. You can become really good at one gear but lose the ability to shift when life demands it. Whether it's chasing a grandchild, hurrying upstairs, or handling an emergency, you want to have those higher gears available. For people over 50, I recommend starting with 90% Zone 2 and 10% higher zones for the first month, then progressing to 85-15, and eventually settling at 80-20 as you build fitness and confidence. The beauty with a strong Zone 2 base is that your Zone 4 and 5 efforts become more effective and require less recovery time. You're building from a foundation of strength rather than constantly depleting yourself. Here's exactly how to implement this system in your life. Stop thinking of Zone 2 as training and start thinking of it as enhanced living. Dr. Huberman doesn't even consider Zone 2 formal exercise anymore. He calls it enhanced daily living because it can be woven into activities you're already doing or want to be doing. You need 150 to 200 minutes per week, but think of it this way. That's 30 minutes, 5 days a week of activities like brisk walking with friends, cycling to the store, playing actively with grandchildren, or hiking on weekends. Choose activities you actually enjoy. If you hate running, don't run. Walking is perfect. Add hills or incline on a treadmill to reach Zone 2. Love swimming? Perfect. Prefer dancing? Great. The key is finding that conversation pace intensity in activities that make you happy. For monitoring, use whatever feels natural. A heart rate monitor gives you data, but the conversation test works just as well. If you can chat comfortably but couldn't sing, you're there. Your 20% higher intensity can be just as natural. Take stairs 2 at a time, sprint to catch a bus, play chase with kids, or do interval walks where you pick up the pace for a few minutes, then recover. Think about it. Walking to the store, taking the stairs, playing with grandchildren, even doing household chores can all contribute to your weekly Zone 2 time if you maintain the right intensity and heart rate. This approach solves the biggest problem people over 50 face: time. You're busy with work, family, and responsibilities. But when Zone 2 becomes part of your daily activities rather than additional exercise, it becomes sustainable. Track your progress not just by heart rate zones, but by how you feel. Are you less winded climbing stairs? Do you have more energy for activities you enjoy? Can you keep up with faster walking friends? These are the real markers of success. The magic happens when Zone 2 stops feeling like exercise you have to do and becomes movements you get to do. The 80-20 principle gives you flexibility while ensuring you build both the aerobic foundation and the ability to access higher gears when needed. In 2 to 4 weeks of consistent training, you'll notice improvements in daily activities. In 2 to 3 months, you might see dramatic improvements in your fitness. And over time, you're building the complete system for healthy aging and lifelong vitality. Start tomorrow with one 30-minute Zone 2 session. Use the conversation test, stay in that fat-burning zone, and remember, this should feel almost too easy. Once you've built that base, add one higher intensity session per week to maintain your complete range of abilities. If this systematic approach to fitness makes sense to you, make sure you're subscribed for more evidence-based health content designed specifically for people over 50. See you in the next video.